Welcome to my introduction to Smart Notebook by Miss Shannon Gordon Fields. The goals are to enhance instruction and engage students with SMARTboard and Smart Notebook. As far as differentiation, you have to appeal to the different students that you have in your classroom. One way is through visual. Another is you can provide individual or small group review games. You can allow for collaboration between having weaker and stronger students paired together. You can add links to videos for students to go watch on their own time. You can also create individual assignments. And I have a link down below to a website with a great article that says 10 ways to differentiate instruction with technology. Why is this important? Teachers need to find ways to present material and engage students at the same time, because if you don't keep their interest, they're going to get bored. They're going to start acting up, making noises, playing around, not paying attention. First, we're going to start with social studies, and I'm going to show throughout this presentation how it can be used for different content areas. The objective is the learner will identify primary and secondary sources. So what I'm going to do is go to a clear or blank slide, and I'm going to go to the gallery, which is the picture frame here. I'm going to go to Lesson Activity Toolkit. And for social studies, because we're talking about primary and secondary sources, I'm going to use a vortex. And when it comes up, when the different activities come up, they're very easy to use. All you have to do is go over here to Edit. And I want each vortex to rotate. The students are so amazed when they see something moving on a smartboard. So I'm going to put my labels. So I have primary sources. Then I'll have secondary sources. And I'm going to go down to the bottom. If you notice at the bottom, there's two sides. The left side has labels of all primary sources. The right side is all secondary sources. They can be changed. So I'm going to start off first with the primary source. I know that a diary is a primary source. Let's do another one. A news report is a primary source. And one more, autobiography. Then I'll go over here to secondary sources. A play would be a secondary source. A short story would be a secondary source. And of course, a textbook would be a secondary source. Once I type everything in, I don't worry about doing a password. I go to click on OK, and then it comes up, and I'll make it full screen because this is what the students will see on the smartboard. The students can come up to the board and interact with it. And again, you see the rotation. The students enjoy that. So the first one is play. I have to decide, is a play a primary source or secondary source? Play, I'm going to put click and drag to secondary sources. When it dissolves or disappears, that means you're correct. Let's see, diary is a primary source. Now textbook, I know a textbook is a secondary source, but I'm going to show what happens if I put it in the wrong spot. It'll spin and kick it back out. It'll only absorb or disappear if it's on top of the correct category. So now I'm going to go back out, and the next one I want to show is, get to it, reading. Now the learner will review vocabulary terms, and this one does not only have to just be for reading, it could be for social studies, science, maybe even some terms in math. And what I'll do is I'll go to a blank slide. I'll click on the picture frame for gallery, lesson activity toolkit. And when it comes to vocabulary terms, I want to choose one that deals with matching. Trying to find matching. Here it is. Keyword match. And it doesn't matter what color you choose, whatever color you would like to use. So again, it's easy to do. I have on the left side is where my words would be. The right side is where the descriptions would be. So I would go to edit. And let's say I would type in historical fiction. I would type in a description. A fictional story that takes place in the past. And then I'll go to another word. We'll do biography. A story about a person's life. And I'll do one more, realistic fiction. And realistic fiction is a made up story. It's a made up story that could happen in real life. And I'll go to OK. And then the students can actually come to the board and they would click and drag the word next to its correct description. And then there's a check box that allows them to check to see if they're correct. And again, this can be done whole group. It can be done small group as a center rotation. And if you see the 3 dots next to a word, that means there's more to show. So instead of just historical, it's historical fiction. And I would drag it to the correct spot. Biography, story about a person's life. Realistic fiction, made up story that could happen in real life. Then I would go to check. And I could do reset. I could have another group of students to do it. And they'll start matching and matching. And then check. Oh, something's wrong. They can reset and do it again. The next one I'm going to go to is time for review. The learner will apply skills learned. Sometimes you want to do a test prep or review. And what's good for this is what's called multiple choice. And what I'll normally do is I'll show it on the SMARTboard. I would have the students stand up if you chose A as your answer. Stand up if you chose B. I'm going to go to edit. And I'm going to choose something for math. And I get to choose, let's see, A, I'll say 8 times 9 is 63. B, let's see, it's 17. C, I'll say is 72. And D, I'll say is 12. And I know 8 times 9 is 72, so I'll choose or select C as the answer. Then it allows you to choose up to 10 questions, so I'll choose a question 2 and go directly to it. Where it says type here, I'll put the cursor at the end and backspace. Be careful with hitting tab and return. So another one would be choose the correct answer. And I might have 500 plus 20 plus 1. And I might choose as my answer 521 or 51. And I'm just going to choose, make 2 choices. I would go to OK. And then what happens, the students choose. I would have them stand up. If it's right, it's a check. If it's wrong, it's an X. And a lot of times I'll let them go back over and choose again. In conclusion, find ways to engage your students and try to reach all of your students. Sometimes you might not reach 100% of your class, but you can at least get 90 to 95% of your class. But find different ways to engage them so they're interested in your lesson, because when students are interested in your lesson, they will do better and learn more. Also, next steps, start with a content area you feel comfortable in. Remember to go to the gallery, choose Lesson Activity Toolkit 2.0, then browse an activity you would like to use. If you want to ready-made Smart Notebook lessons, go to Smart Exchange at the website below. Contact information, sgfields@cattleschools.org, and my classroom number is E13 in case you want to stop by to ask questions. Thank you.